we're going to pretty much be going mostly in Europe, somewhat in the Mideast, Med, a little bit of Africa, somewhat in the United States. But no matter where we are, it's going to be really exciting here on the Worldview. Hi everybody, so this is Chris Greco here, your host for Worldview. We're going to start out today with some science, move into different areas, and maybe plop back into science, and then go into some data analysis type aspects. So the first thing I want to talk about today is solar eclipse. There's a solar eclipse 2024, right? Millions in North America. And the way that it goes across is that Carbondale, Illinois is going to be able to see the actual eclipse. It's kind of cool. Well, interestingly enough, celestial mechanics says any spot on the Earth surface should experience a total solar eclipse only once. Any one spot on the Earth surface should experience a total solar eclipse only once every 375 years on average. Well, guess what? Guess what? The people of Carbondale, Illinois are going to see it 7 years. So they saw one in 2017 and they're going to see one in 2024. Now I just point this out for something. Is that we rely so much on science and so much on predictive analysis that we sometimes forget that there's some fallibility in those figures. It's not just calculations. It's the idea that we can take those calculations and just predict all the way through 375 years when 7 years later you have a total eclipse. This doesn't give me a real warm fuzzy feeling about celestial mechanics. This doesn't give me a real warm fuzzy feeling about, what's going on there. I mean, I'm glad for Carbondale, Illinois. Don't get me wrong. They're going to make some big bucks out of this from the standpoint of people coming to see this thing. But I think it's really interesting that you got a solar eclipse, and that solar eclipse, it's supposed to be 375 years later. You're supposed to be able to see it on one specific spot in the Earth, and by God, you're going to see it 7 years later. That, again, doesn't give me a real warm, fuzzy feeling. And somebody somewhere is going to blame this on climate change. Somebody somewhere is going to blame it on climate change. Climate change did it. It did something to the Earth's rotation. Right, got it. Ask a physicist. Let's move on. This is interesting. It's basically, how does your immune system react during a heat wave? This study offers new insights. Now I'm going to tell you that studies done this way, to me, are automatically invalid. There's no validity whatsoever to this study, as far as I'm concerned, as data analysis goes, and as a data analyst, personally and professionally. I do not believe in this study. But let's go on here. So the study is done by linked temperature and inflammation. Again, one thing against one thing. One thing against one thing. Temperature, inflammation. Temperature, inflammation. Interesting situation there. What they did was they studied 624 people who were part of the Green Heart Project, which is studying how planting greenery in a Louisville neighborhood might improve air quality and reduce heart disease. Okay. Participants range in age from 20 to 70 years with an average of about 50. About 77% were white, 18% were black, 59% were women. Each person gave one blood sample, during the summers of 2018 and 2019. And from that, they found this stuff in here. So I'm just saying, blood measurement were then matched with the weather readings, and the results were adjusted for differences in demographic factors such as sex, age, race, and education. Results also were adjusted for body mass index, a measure of obesity, which I think we'll get into somewhere along the line here. Air pollution, and whether the person smoked or was taking anti-inflammatory medication. Anti-inflammatory medication could be anything from aspirin to scalaxin to ibuprofen, acetaminophen. All these things, are basically anti-inflammatory medicine. Although anti-inflammatory in aspirin is different from the anti-inflammatory in acetaminophen. So there was also the link between hot weather and increased levels of cytokines. One of them, TNF-alpha, is a major inflammatory marker and plays an important role in cardiovascular disease. Plays an important role. Didn't say vital. I noticed plays an important role. One of the major inflammatory markers. Now, everything is based upon temperature. What about their lifestyle? What about eating? What about exercise? What about anything? I mean, they took into consideration body mass index, but that's just one measure of obesity. And then we're talking about different areas, So I think that this was, the fact that they even got this published is amazing to me. And then, of course, Public Health in New Haven, I think this is an important study. Well, of course, because it confirms the idea that more temperature means more inflammation, which means more cardiovascular disease. Okay, so here, let's just CDC causes of death. All right, let's just point this out here. Fast stats, causes of death. Here we go. Leading causes of death. And we're going to take a look at this. National Vital Statistics System, right? So understanding leading causes of death. So the top 15 causes of death for each state. So if we take a look at this and we take a look at the different ideas. So let's see. Let's just go to 2017. Let's go to death leading causes. So we're just going to go right there to death leading causes. We're going to find out. This is from the CDC, Center for Disease Control. So we're going to take a look at this, and we're going to see exactly what they're talking about. Let's bring this up so you guys can see it. So, cause of death, here it is. Number 1, causes of death, based on ICD-10. Now, this is a diagnostic code, 10. 113 select causes of death, and wherever this is, due to C. diff. That's Clostridium difficile. So that's C. diff. Bad stuff. So this is all leading causes of death. Ischemic heart diseases, hypertensive heart diseases of the heart, diabetes mellitus, meningitis, Parkinson's disease, number 47. So there's a lot of different things here. So that's just cause of death due to C. diff. So that's due to C. diff. Let's do it. Infant death. This is actually really good listing here. Okay, disease of the heart. Here we go. All causes. Deaths. All causes. Deaths. 2012. 599,000 due to disease of the heart. 611,000 due to diseases of the heart. Malignant neoplasms, I guess that's cancer. Lower respiratory diseases, accidents is number 4. Cerebrovascular, which could go into vascular diseases, which could cover disease of the heart and all that. Alzheimer's disease. Diabetes is 7th. Influenza and pneumonia is 8th. Just thought I'd point that out to you there. Influenza and pneumonia. Notice I don't see COVID in here anywhere. So I'm thinking they throw that in with influenza and pneumonia. So these are that from 2013, 2012. Okay, so that's what's going on there. So let's see if they include anything 2012, 2013. Okay, I think that's it. So just to let you know, cerebral or heart disease has been a major cause of death for a very, very long time. And if you take a look at this, you can 2015, 2017. So let's just do 2017 here, 2018. All-cause disease of the heart, 647,000. Okay, so that's 2017. And if you go by state, this is, okay, Alaska. So let's go to Missouri, because that's where they're talking about. Missouri. Disease of the heart, 61,876 people die, right, from disease of the heart in Missouri. That includes St. Louis, But that's what we're dealing with here. 61,000 people dying of heart aspects, or add another 3,000 for vascular aspects. So it's that type of thing. You just got to take a look at this stuff and see what's going on. So let me see. So that's where the study just is not good. And then we talk about how can we survive the heat waves to come, and air pollution. They talk about, and then here we go. Fossil fuel phase out is the most important public health intervention of our times, Dr. Marina Romanello said. One of the panelists said. Okay, so I'm sick and tired of this. I'm sick and tired of people walking up there and saying, if we do this one thing, you're telling me, Dr. Romanello, that if you do this one, that fossil fuel phase out, done, then we will live longer lives. That's not true. That's not true. I don't believe it, and neither should you. There are a number of things that have to take place before we can live longer. And most of that is up to us. It's up to us individually to keep ourselves healthy, to exercise, to eat, relatively good food, to do those things. Let me tell you what I think is the most important public health intervention. Processed foods. Okay, Dr. Romanello? There you go. Yeah, fossil fuel phase out. Yeah, okay. One thing there. Processed foods. Boy, get rid of processed foods, go back to natural eating, we'll all live longer, right? I can make that because nobody can prove me wrong. Prove me wrong on that. Prove me, no, processed foods does not kill people. I can show you a study where it says it does. I said it makes people sick. Same with fossil fuels or anything else. Climate change, all climate change, right? Because we can't get natural foods because of climate change. So anyways, it's stuff like this hyperbole crap that gets me. So then we have this one. Fertility rates will see a dramatic decline with 97% of countries unable to sustain populations. When is this? Oh my gosh, when is this? Again, this is Euronews. Euronews is pretty good. Fertility rates in European countries are already below the global average, with the rates based on the number of children a woman will have in her lifetime. And you know what that means? An overwhelming majority of countries globally will not have high enough fertility rates to sustain population size by 2100. 2100. This is by the Lancet. 2100. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be dead. And not only that, but my kids will probably be dead. So, you're telling me that I won't be able to, this is unfalsifiability. I can't prove this false. I cannot prove this false. There's no way I can do it. I can just put and say, no, that's not right. And my guess is just as good as that one. My guess is just as good as what they have right there for 2100. You know what my prediction is for 2100? We're all going to have peace in the world. Everyone will get along. It will have no more wars. That's my prediction for 2100. And guess what? I'll be dead. What are you going to do? Dig me up and tell me I'm wrong? Yeah, okay, that's fine. So the bottom line is that this is the type of stuff that's being shoved down our throats. And says, by 2100 they projection right off the bat. Anything that has to do with projection does not take into consideration Bayesian probabilities, which are a bunch of different probabilities. A bunch of different things could happen. 97% comes. Well, let me get this right. If it drops, that means there are less people. If there's less people, then wouldn't that make it better? So anyways, global fertility is projected to decline to 2.1 births per woman by 2050. Cut me a break. So it's just like that. So here it is. This is 2020. It's about 2023, 2024 right here. So you know what they're doing is they're just kind of, oh, we're just going to elongate this thing out. This looks like it's going this direction. So we're just going to do this. Boom, and then boom, and then boom, and then boom. See how it's, see how you can extrapolate that stuff? Come on. Come on, folks. Come on, really? Come on. There's no way you can predict. You can't even predict what's going to happen next month. You cannot predict to me what's going to happen next month. No way in heck. You can predict to me the temperature, the amount of precipitation, nothing. National Weather Service can do the best they can. They can do the best they can. But let me tell you, and they do it based on centuries worth of weather data. And it's still not right. So how can you tell me that this somehow or other, by 2100, this is going to happen? This is it. Oh, so we can intervene? Intervene how? And everyone sits there and says, oh, get rid of this, get rid of that, get rid of this. Really? Because I don't see a lot of people changing their lifestyle to match the climate change that's happening. I just don't see it. Do you see it? Do you see people out there? Yes, there are people, but certainly not enough to make a difference. So, cut me a break. Ukraine, Serbia, North Macedonia, and Bosnia-Herzegovina were projected to have the lowest fertility rates in 2100. Really? All right, yeah, okay, great. Because, Ukraine may be still at war at that time. You have no idea. Ukraine could be at war 2100 in the next century. It could happen. It could actually happen. Next story. Could Germany be the first in Europe to ban TikTok? So U.S. vote, right? So all of a sudden lawmakers are saying, hey, let's talk about this. Germany could be the first ones to get rid of TikTok. Interesting. Interesting story. Europe is I wonder where France is with this. Who knows? It's the Amazon's turn to lead on just transition, decriminalization, and global climate action. And here we go. So Colombia, at the United Nations, I call the climate crisis the crisis of life, and joined island states in calling for equitable phase out of coal, oil, and gas. And here it is. So it's very interesting how it's going to. Colombia is going to do this. Colombia, they're having a heck of a time. Many of their people are going away up through Central America and the United States. So they are going to preach to us, or I don't see how that's going to work. Anyways, it'll be interesting to see how that all works. And, it's South America. Here we go. Radical right, now unstoppable in EU's Inter Six. Here we go. Belgium, France, Germany, Italy, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands. And here we go. Now the far right is starting to kick into this. So it'll be interesting to see how that all works. I told you, I think it was a couple shows ago, I've been talking to you about this, and they call it the radical right, but basically it's far right. Now they call it radical right because, it's progressive left or, Marxist leftists. Now they're saying radical right. It's just whatever. Marie Le Pen and the rest of them. Interesting to see how that's going to go. AP. The Taylor Swift effect aims to provide water during Brazil's life-threatening heat waves. So let me get this straight, just figure it out. So if there's a heat wave, the best thing you can do is give water. And that's called the Taylor Swift effect. Wow. That's amazing to me. So instead of just calling it like giving water during heat, this is getting ridiculous. Time just had a special issue on her. A special issue. This is becoming obsessive, folks. Obsessive. There's a problem here. There's a real problem. And people talk about Trump, right? Look, everyone's busting on Trump and getting on him and everything else. He loves coverage. So does she. She sings songs. He whatever. So the bottom line is that what's the difference here, folks? He's kind of both obsessive. France president pounds a punching bag on camera. Oh yeah, there he is. Oh, there's Macron. Yeah. I heard a story this morning for one of the international news stations. It said that the reason he wants to do this is show that he's a strong leader and he can, in fact, head Europe. What have I been saying this whole time? What have I been saying the whole time? The guy wants to point himself out as, oh yeah, I'm strong. I'm here. Let's go get the Russians. Yeah, okay, Macron. Yeah, let's do that. I'll tell you what. You go first. You go first. Macho Macron. Macron, le grand narcissist. Crossed the Daily Mail. Past presidents like resistance hero General de Gaulle felt no need to show off. I have more to say on that. Whatever. Anyways, that's your great French president right there. Super. How the Pentagon dug down and found $300 million for Ukraine, but is still deep in the red. So let's take a look at this. The Pentagon dug into contracts and saved $300 million so you could send it to Ukraine. How about, Pentagon, you'd give that back to the taxpayer? How about we give it back to the taxpayer? I'm sick and tired of spending for contractors to go ahead and buy their yachts and their grand hotels and all the other crap that they got to do. Because I worked for a contractor. I know how much I made, and I know how much they charged the U.S. government. And I was a govie, and I know how much they charged. It's ridiculous. I had to quit that job. It was nuts. So I mean, it's just, this is how they do it. $300 million they can save. If you can save $300 million, why are you paying them $300 million more? Why? I just, Secretary Austin, it might be time for you to just take a powder. Put somebody in there who can really handle it. You don't seem to be getting it right, sir. You and your generals, may need to kind of, just go retire, go off someplace. Of course, you were a general. We already know that Senator Schumer, Mr. We need to stop Trump because he keeps mouthing off. And then this guy stands up in the Senate and says that they ought to have a special election to throw out Netanyahu. Really? Really, Senator Schumer? Wow, you're amazing. Yeah, I thought it was a comedy skit, like your niece or nephew, or niece or I don't know who she is, some cousin or something. That's a comedian. She's not even funny. Sorry, not funny. So tensions rise. There it is. Blinken is of the wink and blink and a nod thing. He's there with Netanyahu. Netanyahu says, no, we're gonna defend our country, and this is what's going to happen. Okay, let's go to Journal American Medical Association. Cardiometabolic effects of omnivorous versus vegan diets in identical twins. Interesting about it is that they did it during an 8-week intervention. 8-week intervention. That's what they did. They took two twins. They put the one on regular diet, whatever you want to call it, and the other one vegan. And guess what? They found, that showed significantly improved low-density lipoprotein cholesterol, fast insulin levels, fasting insulin level, weight loss compared with twins consuming a healthy omnivorous diet. Interesting, right? It suggests that a healthy plant-based diet offers a significant whatever, blah, blah, blah. So 22 pairs of twins and 44 randomized participants. That's not enough. That's not a big enough sample. Again, the Journal of Medical Association, shame on you. You shouldn't be publishing stuff like this. 44 people? That's not enough. I mean, I get you got to go twins, but daggum. It'd be better to get two people that are just randomized of the same sex, age, demographic, and do it that way. This is ridiculous. And they put this out. And this is it. Cardiometabolic effects, right? They don't say they're good, they don't say bad, they just say it. Let's go to another one. Long-term body mass index variability and adverse cardiovascular outcomes. So people that drop weight, up weight, drop weight, up weight, drop weight, up weight. So all of a sudden they're saying, oh, there's a problem there. There's a problem there. So let's see how they did this. They did this based on that's a great sample. 157,410 from two large cohorts, right? And let's see where they got them from. Million veteran program. So you got veterans. and UK Biobank. Again, this is a really specific sampling. I guess it's better than nothing, but it's just anyways. Thought I'd point out some of these in the Journal of American Medical Association. We're not going to even cover. We already covered that. Here's something here. Refugee camps in Chad are overcrowded, running out of aid, and Sudanese refugees keep coming. And this is, interestingly enough, this is in Chad. So I figured out where Chad was. It's in Africa, of course, Central Africa. And here's the camp is 25 miles from this city right here, right on the border between Sudan and Chad. So what I did was I thought, well, 25 miles, let's take a look at 25. So I have a circle here. So we're just going to take this and put a circle out about 25 miles. There we go. 25 miles. Close enough. 25 miles. So let's take a look at 25 miles here and see what we got. Well, first of all, what do you have here? Pretty sparse here. It's very sparse. So there's your problem. This is really sad. And it's I don't see any sources of water. I don't see anything. This is just amazing. Anyways, I thought I'd show you the basic geography here, because it just is horrible. And they're trying to put refugees in here from Sudan because Sudan is undergoing an immense amount of battling and issues having to do with insurgencies up in this area coming down, and they're trying to put that to rest. But it's just Sudan is they're having military intervention. It's horrible. Khartoum is the capital, just to let you know. So they're having a problem, running out of aid. Sudanese, this is what's happening around us, folks. Everyone's going to blame it on climate change, but basically this is what's happening. Lack of drinking water, sanitation. Doctors Without Borders is trying. Hepatitis E. It's not good. It's really not good. So, I'm putting 40,000 refugees in there, folks. This is what's happening around the world. Algeria. So again, let's go to Algeria here. This is Algeria. This is the coastal area, the Med, Algeria. And what's that near? Niger, Mali, Libya. Chad. This is not a good place to be around this area. And look, it's very sparse. Why? It's the Sahara Desert, folks. This is the Sahara. So I shouldn't say Sahara Desert, should say Sahara, right? So that's military-backed president, second term. This could be a problem too. Again, going to have a military-backed president in here. So it's very scary. Elections are happening in a lot of different countries in the world right now. So that's what's happening at this point in time. Let's move on here. Oh, another science aspect. Anthropocene unit of geological time is rejected. This is the basically when humans had a great impact, and now they're saying, oh well, maybe it's about 1952, maybe it's they proposed start date of 52. The nuclear bomb test residues became evident in sediments. 1950s also marked a great acceleration of human population, baby boomers, right? And its consumption patterns suddenly speeded up. So they're saying, now they're saying, no, that's not right, and they're voting it down. This is all scientists have to do, folks, is just sit there and say, oh, let's make up time things. This is great. I love science. Great, just continue that on. In fact, more PhDs in science, that's great. Love it. This is water scarcity. We'll go back to Sudanese refugees in Chad. Just the water scarcity. It's tough because they're in a desert. I'm moving on. So the next story is about the death toll in Gaza. This thing goes on and on. So the Ministry of Health has been doing a lot of death tolls, and they're calculating it. And they calculated originally from hospital aspects, people dying in the hospitals and reports, and somebody making an Excel spreadsheet and whatever else has to go on there. So I've been doing some research on this. There's a data on casualties, which is interesting, from the United Nations Office for the Coordinated Humanitarian Affairs. Guess what? It's password protected. You cannot get the database. You can't get the database because it's amazing. Figures below represent the numbers of Palestinians and Israelis who were killed or injured since 2008 in the occupied Palestinian territories. So, and it says, click, tap, or hover over the charts to interact with the data. You can't. Oh, yes, there is. Okay. So here's the data. 1/1/2008 to 1/17/2024. Palestinian fatalities 6,779 to January 2024. So this is Gaza in here. This is the Palestinian territories. Types of weapons, all that. You can get the Israeli fatalities. I guess it's just going to take a while to get them. So if you want them, here they are. 319 Palestinian injuries. This type of dashboard, not bad at all. Here it is right here. Of course, this is to one. This is the February. The February 9th, right? And you can go back or forth. Love it. Area, put Gaza Strip. You can just take a look at just the Gaza Strip. Here's the injuries. Interestingly enough, right? The Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, they're saying 62,000 since that time. So let's take a look at since. Let's take a look at that. 382. But this is to, let's see if I can. 10/10/2003. It's blank. Okay. So evidently they don't have it. Not a bad map. Not a bad map, but the full, password protected access for humanitarian agencies. Click here to access. You can get the full database, which I'd love to get to be able to figure that thing out. But at least this is something. Reuters, again, they're taking a look at this. They're saying, how many Palestinians have died in Gaza? Death toll explained. Well, not really, because humanitarian disaster is worsening. They're saying that. How many casualties have been compiled so far? First 6 weeks of the war, hospital morgues across Gaza send figures. But Omar Hussein Ali said that of the 4 officials who ran the Shifa data center, 1 died in an airstrike that hit the hospital, while the other 3 went missing. So they're not sure, right? It's really so Gaza death toll. They're saying here, week-long truce, that the death toll from 7 October daily has been increasing almost straight up till it hit about November, and then it leveled off, and then it went back up and over. Well, that's not bad. This bothers me though, that it's so straight line, straight up like that. If this were a tax audit, you'd have to ask a question that. Leveling off like this is interesting because they say it's a week-long truce, and then all of a sudden it popped back up again. So if you do October, November, December, how would that look? It would go straight up. It would go not straight up, but up. So that's stuff like that. The daily aspect is just going up almost, like a proportion, like 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, that type of thing. It's bothersome. How credible? Uh, Said Palestinian health authorities have long-standing credibility with their methods of maintaining baseline statistics and tracking deaths in general, not just during times of war. Our professional and many ministry staffs have been trained in the United States. They work hard to ensure statistical fidelity. Okay, I mean, you know, names, ages, and ID numbers of 7,028 Palestinians recorded as death from airstrikes. After U.S. President Joe Biden cast doubt on the casualty figures. Thanks for watching The Worldview. Hopefully this brought about some information you wouldn't have gotten through the U.S. media, and maybe it will focus you on some areas that don't get enough coverage that really should get some more coverage. But in any case, I'm really happy that you chose this 30 minutes to look at The Worldview.